I hit go again, then it might work. That's the YouTube recording. Obviously, the audio recording is fine because I've remembered to press that button. Hello, welcome. Sonic Talk number 318, recording today live on what is apparently the hottest day of English summer. 19th of June. You're watching this live stream. We've got sonicstate.com/live. We have a live chat room and a live video stream, so please do join us. If you're not here this week, then you're watching this on YouTube, then you can certainly check it out on next week and the week after and forever, because as we know, we're already at 318, so hopefully we'll get to thousands. This week I've got a fulsome... Oh, something... What's that noise? There's a noise.
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, okay. With all the technical stuff that's going on today, we've got quite a complicated setup because we can say hello to a guest we haven't had for an awfully long time. I'm going to switch to Mr. Well, actually, I won't do that now because, first of all, I have to remember our sponsors. I always forget this. Much as we value them, of course, our sponsors are Isotope. Isotope have been very kindly giving away a piece of software traditionally during the course of their sponsorship. And this week is no different. For details of who won last week and how to win this week, stay tuned. We'll now go to Mr. Non-Eric from musotalk.de. How are you, Hans?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Do you get called Non or Eric for short when you're in your TV persona?
Short would be Eric, I think.
Eric, okay, I'll try and remember to do that. Eric is there in his wonderful studios in Berlin, where it is even hotter than here, right? 35 degrees, I'm told.
That's why I've got this windshield on the microphone, because I have a big ventilator pumping air at me.
A fan blowing cool air over you. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Non-Eric has very kindly set up. He's got a sort of mirror image of the same sort of setup as we have, except his is much more professional than mine.
No.
There he is. We taught each other everything we know.
Yes.
Something along those lines. So Non-Eric will be showing us a little bit of Nave because he's doing a full review in German. Musotalk, of course, is a music technology show in Berlin. And their stuff is in German language and very good stuff. If you're English, you probably find you understand more than you think, because I don't speak German at all, but I can actually usually get the gist of it. And I think that's just down to your brilliant presentation skills, Hans. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You're so polite.
I'm working on it. Give me a chance. I'll probably screw that up in a bit. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. And we'll also go over there to Mr. Mark Tinley in Bedfordshire. Where it's also extremely hot. How are you, Mark?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
Likebeing.com. Mark is also a collaborator. Well, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because I say one member or collaborative member of... oh, God, I can't remember what it's called now.
It was called TV Mania.
TV Mania, of course. With,
I should have plugged my other thing.
With Nick Rose and Duran Duran. But it happened in the past, and now it's been found, and now you can get involved. If you go... tvmaniamusic.com, I believe, is where you go, and there's all sorts of stuff going on there. But in the meantime, we have Mark at Like Being as well.
I do. I love it.
Excellent. And we've also got a return of another regular guest in the form of Gaz Williams, who's back from his jolly japes across the globe, where he's been in the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, the eastern, and the west. Where have you been just come back from? In fact, you played in Bath not long ago, and I was actually in the coast. So, Gaz, you'll have to speak, and then you will magically appear in one of the designated boxes.
Am I coming through loud enough?
You are, and there he is. Thank you very much. Gaz Williams, songsurgeon.co.uk, bass player with the Carl Hyde Project. Is that how I should refer to it? It sounds like a good name, actually, the Carl Hyde Project. Obviously.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, Carl himself is sort of a bit about his name, because he really feels like it's a band, and it's lovely. He's really cool like that. He's very inclusive. But anyway, we've only got one big show left of this current tour, and that's the Fuji Rock Festival, which we've got a fantastic billing on that. Where Saturday night, second headliners, main stage.
Nice. Nice.
So it's good, really exciting. So going to be sharing a stage with Bjork, and that's going to be...
Wow, is she going to have all her infernal machines with her? You're going to have to kind of watch where if you start flinging your bass around, you're going to start sort of hitting tubular bells and blocks of wood and stuff.
Oh, I hope so. But yeah, it's great, really exciting, and so can't wait for that. So that's
Excellent.
Really
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
good.
I was unfortunately not able to join you when you played with your fabulous surf band, the Rumbelows, this weekend because I was on the coast, and it was one of those rare places in England where there is absolutely zero mobile phone. Nothing. Just so the only way I could communicate with people was to go to the bar, get on the Wi-Fi, and make a Skype call out to them, and that was the only way, or use a payphone. But the last time I used a payphone, it was 2p a minute, and now it's £1 a minute. So I decided not to do that. Anyway, I think we might start with something that Hans can talk about, or Non-Eric can talk about, because he's all set up for it, and I know that he's not necessarily had a lot of time to look at some of the other things. So we'll have a look at the Nave.
And I introduce Dave.
Of course,
Before we do Nave.
Dave, you're being too quiet. You have to
Sorry,
say
I've got my mic muted because I'm playing here.
You're playing.
Yeah.
Dave Spears for GeForce Software there, in his new layer, which has windows and everything.
Dude, it's so close today, isn't it?
It's really hot. Have you got your windows open?
No, I can't because there's somebody working outside.
Oh, man.
And I'm making lots of noise. Like that?
Oh, that sounded nice. What was that? Is it anything you can tell us about?
Nope, I can't tell you.
Is it Nave by Waldorf?
Nope, it's a secret.
Oh, man. Look at him go.
I want to hear more.
There you go.
Yeah.
Actually, guys, you should remember that. Yeah? That was an alternative intro too.
Wow.
You lost me. I'm guessing this is an inside
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
an inside joke.
Right, okay.
Ah, very nice.
Okay,
Right,
Dave.
I'll shut up now. I'm
David,
muted.
Oh, well,
Let's
thank you
do
for
the track, Dave, with the Mini Monster, the String Machine, and the Imposter 2. Hooray!
Yay.
Wow.
Except it was rubbish.
Yeah.
It sounds awful.
Well, we've just started a series by a guy called Ian Affleck about limitators, he's called it, and it's a series that basically sets a challenge. Like he says, like there's 2 sine waves, make a track with them. That's all you got. You could, there are sort of parameters you can work within. You can use plugins, you can cut things up to a degree, and he's sent me something, and it's I'm really quite excited by that, and people seem to be
That's
responding very.
cool.
So so there's going to be a challenge based on that, Gaz, which I'm sure you'll appreciate.
That's really cool.
I think so.
Yay. That does sound good.
So but anyway, let's talk about. Let me play the intro because I have got a little bit of. I'm out of sync here because we're actually on video 4. Here we go. This, of course, is Waldorf Nave. This is the new synth from Waldorf. Which is a bit loud, so I'll turn it down a bit. New synth for Waldorf on the iPad, and it's the reason this came up, apart from the fact that it's quite cool, is it was probably the biggest story last week on the site. It just and got the most comments. People were just raging about it.
It's a big story.
Big story.
Yeah,
It's got real heritage, hasn't it? When you look, it's like the power trio of software, of digital synthesizer designers. It's a biggie.
Do you think? Well, I'm interested. I mean, first of all, I was quite interested the fact that it was so big because, Waldorf haven't been sort of chucking synths out at a rate of knots, and in fact, the last one that they brought out was while it was very exciting at the initial launch, when people have sort of gone a bit cold on it, which was I can't remember what it's called now. You'll remember,
Rocket. I did the Rocket.
You did the Rocket. So
it didn't really sort of grab me. Sorry.
No, so that's why it's so interesting that this has perhaps kind of got such a kind of big. People are so excited about it. What is it? Do you think? I mean, you've had a chance to have a look at it. Sadly, Muggins here has still got a classic iPad, and unfortunately hasn't got the funds to spend another £400 on another iPad just to run Nave. So I'm unable to test it. But it does sound from that demo really rather nice. I'm guessing. Well, you've obviously got it. Not Eric, haven't you? So, what are your initial thoughts? I mean, you've got it right there, and we can demonstrate by the classics of your switching system that you're going to show us some chops, eh?
All right, let's try. Okay. Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay, all right.
It's working so far.
The thing is, it's a real Waldorf, but it's not an emulation of anything. they've got the wavetables of the Blofeld, microwave 1, 2, everything in there, but they sort of added quite a lot. They've added, as I can demonstrate on this bass sound here, this consists actually of, let me just switch. This actually consists of 2 wave oscillators. They're here.
Yeah.
Let me just switch onto the other view. Maybe that makes it more clear.
Aha, got you.
It says wave 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And these are the wavetable oscillators. But then it's got oscillator here. And I'm just going to turn this down completely. And now, I got a problem here with my screen capture, but here. Now I turned off the virtual analog synthesizer, which is also included. And now I add that to it, and that gives it a very sort of rich
yeah, I hear.
texture,
Yeah.
because it adds to it. And they've added a whole new section. This section here is the traditional wavetable synthesis part with 2 wavetable oscillators. And then they've got something here called the spectrum, which is totally new to anything in the Waldorf synthesis. And I did a full review, which will be on Music Talk on Monday. And I had the developer, Rolf Wörmann, in the show. And he explained to me what it did, but I couldn't really sort of follow too much.
What is it about wavetable synthesis that it's, well, say with the Wolfgang Palm apps, it's just like, yeah, they sound great, but I have absolutely no idea what's going on there.
And I think that's actually the biggest differentiator between the Waldorf, and I think that's why people are so enthusiastic about it, is that it's got the traditional wavetable sounds closest actually to the PPG, because it's got the same heritage, same sound, great bass, everything. But the big difference is you can't get your head around the PPG app. It's very, very hard to sort of really construct a sound from scratch, which you can do here quite well, actually, because they show you it's laid out very, very classic. I mean, we've got the oscillator section, then we've got the filter, and that all works as we would know it. And as you see here, I think one of the biggest things about the app is actually how the virtual knobs are programmed and the faders are programmed. I haven't had any other app yet that gives me such a very good experience. It's not, some of them have this kind of acceleration, and then you have to go back and forth to find the right point. This is done really, really clever. If you do it quite slowly, you can very, very precisely edit. And if you go a little bit faster, you can go all the way really quickly. I mean, I think they spent a lot of effort getting this right, and they've done it right.
The GUI dynamics.
Yeah. And then from the filter section, obviously, you go into the next one. It's got the modulation here. You can switch to the alternative keyboard. So it's all sort of very easy to understand if you ever work with a synthesizer. Here's the effect section. So there's a lot of traditional feel behind this app. And that's why I think it makes it so much easier to actually create your own sounds. And if you don't create any sounds, no problem, because they've been so crazy. They got 500 great sounds coming with it, and no in-app purchase, everything included for €70. And I think they've got a big problem now, because how to justify when this comes out on the Mac and the PC, why it would be 10 times more expensive?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Gaz, I can see you're itching to get in there.
Yeah, it's really a very, very nice synthesizer. It's also the record page. As Hans was going through those pages, the record page is actually, it's like a 4-track recorder, a 4-track stereo track recorder, and you get. Yeah, but you can actually kind of clip editing, and it's actually very nicely done. It actually works really well, and you think, ooh, we're kind of getting unbelievably spoilt with these kind of tools, because it's, it's so feature rich. It's a bit mind-boggling in a way. But
I guess also the thing is, it's kind of like because it's quite a complex. I mean, with the Blofeld and all those other things, they didn't really kind of get. The access to the wavetable part is much more apparent, it seems to me, on the app, so you can get more into that.
What you've got to understand with this particular app is the way that it's a collaboration between certain people, certain kind of prominent people from Waldorf. Do you know, like Hartman?
Axel Hartman, I saw he
Axel
was
Hartman.
involved. GUI.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he's done the GUI on it, hasn't he? So I mean, he's
Yeah,
got
he
that.
has. Yeah.
He's got the heritage of doing. He designed that Hartman neuron synthesizer, which
Many synthesizers he's been
well,
involved
many
in.
synthesizers. But so
Even
he's
Vogue. Even
so the fact
Vogue.
that he's worked on the GUI, I think it's just very interesting. So that it's like almost like a, it's almost like a celebrity
Like a super
app,
synth.
super because
It's like a VR. It's a super group synth.
Yeah, because Gaz, you may not know, but one of my mates here, who's also in our regular podcast, Wolf, he's actually the programmer behind this, and he did the unlock. So there's
Right.
Stefan Stenzel did the wavetable part and the synthesis part, and the rest was done by Rolf, and they spent a lot of time on it, and there's so much stuff in there, it's unbelievable. You could even create your own wavetables out of stuff that you recorded in the 4-track
Oh,
or
that's
from
cool.
anywhere else via audio copy. The only thing that's maybe a little bit of a problem, you need to have an iPad 4 to have any fun with it. I
Yeah,
think.
it's got to be iOS 6, which means classic iPad is just out of the
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
completely out of the question, and that's kind of a shame, really. But I mean, I guess that's progress, isn't it? And that's what I'm going to have to angle for, obviously, which is something that I don't.
I
currently-
do have it running on my iPad too, quite well. I haven't actually really pushed it a lot, but it sounds nice. It's definitely usable on the 2. But,
Well, I'm a big audio busser. So there was one comment I already made to Nick about your last show on Sonic Touch. You did, try to get something going with GarageBand. GarageBand, yes,
Yeah.
GarageBand, yeah. I always have this discussion with some people here in Germany. They say, no, it's called GarageBand. I say, no, it's called GarageBand. Remember the track? We're at GarageBand. So with GarageBand, and I'm using it actually a lot with BeatMaker, Audio Bus, and it's basically more or less works almost like, like plugins now, because, I'm feeding the MIDI into this synths. I'm recording the MIDI in BeatMaker, sending the MIDI to the app, record the output, and it more or less works quite fluently, but mixing is an issue. I find, because there isn't any good reverb, delay, or any kind of effects on the iPad yet that I find satisfactory.
Don't you think it's got enough delay in it, though? The actual
Pardon?
app itself, this
Yeah, but-
new Waldorf thing, there's more reverb on some of these patches than I've heard in a long time. Not that I-
Absolutely, that was one of my complaints. Number one complaint to Rolf was, first feature request is the global effect off button, please.
Yeah,
since
I-
M1,
yeah.
a continuous struggle, getting that into, I don't know what it is that these guys think. Every time it's once again no global off. And the complaint I had about the reverb and everything was actually, I think, Mark, you have a very good point here, is because we have such bad or not high-endish reverbs in our DAW apps, it's quite good to actually have a reverb and a delay that actually works well with the sounds of the Waldorf. If you want to, I can even play you some more.
Can you turn it up a little bit? Because compared to your voice, it's actually quite low in volume. So that would be, but yeah, please do.
Let me try. That's the init sound.
Yep.
I'm not wearing my glasses, which I should. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Such really, really lush pads.
Yeah, there's some nice things in there.
And then you get the typical sort of wavetable noise. Or even worse.
I mean,
the
I must
scope.
admit the stuff that I saw in the demo, I was quite impressed by the range of sounds. I guess this, I mean, aside from the details of the actual synth itself, which, from what you're saying, does seem pretty deep, it's quite. we're getting, again, we do revisit this once in a while. It's like, oh, well, how are we getting to the situation where it's kind of almost like becoming its own standalone development system? I mean, are they presumably going to be making this as a plugin as well, or is this
Yes,
pure...
I think they will. And there's one last sound I want to play you is to actually emphasize your point is the scope of sounds is amazing, because I even found this really boring sound.
Oh.
Ah, that's a sort of bell-like organ.
Or something like this.
Can I have a rant?
I recognise that somewhere. That sounds like a pop record.
So it's all there. The scope of sounds you can create with this is amazing, and it occasionally reminds me of the wave generator. But it's a much better wave generator, because this is actually controllable for a human being, which I think it's an issue
well, I think
with.
that's. I mean, it's almost like kind of I'm still waiting for for somebody to do the same thing for FM synthesis, to create a really clear and easy to use front end to the same thing. I think Mark wanted to come in. He's preparing himself. I can see him revving himself up there. What?
Look.
Oh, iPad Mini.
Yeah, but now check this out, okay? So let me see if I can make this work.
You're playing it over MIDI, right?
I'm playing it over Wi-Fi, yeah, from Logic, which is so. If I hit the key really hard, you'll hear the latency.
Yeah.
But there's something really cool about being able to do that. It's like, hang on a minute. Now I can, even if there is that latency, I can think about what I want to play on it, and then maybe send MIDI to it and sort of
delay the MIDI.
Yeah, basically record it back into the DAW and then move it back.
Well, we've talked about this before, haven't we? Because the solution of actually integrating the iPad and iOS devices into the DAW, there's not really been a kind of integration of MIDI and audio, but the new iConnect. Oh, Gaz is holding up something there, so there must be something. There's the new iConnect, and what's that? You'll have to talk so it comes.
Okay, this is a very boring thing, but it's just I just got it today, and all it is a iOS. Or it's like obviously the old connector.
Yeah.
Going into a stereo jack lead, and it's just the line out.
Right.
So,
okay.
So very, very, very basic thing, but you do get a line level signal as opposed to the headphone signal, which is vaguely better.
Right.
What you need is, Gaz, absolutely the best small audio interface for the iPad is the Guitar Jack 2. It's amazing. That's the sound quality of the converters is really great. I mean, it's like day and night compared to the. I even use it to watch videos and movies because it's such much better sound.
Oh, okay.
And it's and have you checked it?
I got one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't fit on my iPad though because of the beveled, so it keeps falling off. So.
Oh no, I have this little adapter because mine is. Yeah, I have 20 or 30 or 50 of them. I think it's about worth 1K of euros in worth of trash. I think I have a whole bag here.
Ah, well, wait till you get. Oh, look at that! He's got. Oh, yeah, but you've got it organised in a fantastic piece of Tupperware there. That's.
Ja, das ist German efficiency, genau, my friend.
Absolutely, but there are no labels. I'm a bit disappointed. Dave Spears, you've been very quiet there. I mean, surely, seeing stuff like this coming out must make you think. Is it something that you will inevitably have to sort of be drawn towards to release synthesizers for what you do, or is there just not enough power for the sort of synthesizers that you create?
It's interesting. I think the first thing I showed it to Chris. From my perspective, this is probably the first time in a long time I've been interested in wavetable synthesis, and that's probably, I'd say, 80% of that is down to the GUI. For me, it was a really interesting part of it because normally we did the wavetable stuff with the PPG, which you couldn't give me nowadays, and the what was the wave station stuff? Yeah, the wave station stuff, which Chris has a brilliant story about. Writing 1,000 sounds or whatever, 4 Korg, and then having a power cut before he backed it up to the card, which was one of those moments where he was ready to cry.
He could have won the competition.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I did was show it to him, and he looked at the price and just said, "I don't know how people do it. I'd like to be convinced that this is a feasible operation. But in terms of money versus units, we can't really work it out. So yeah, at the minute, I don't know. I've talked a lot about the iPad, and for me, it's not there yet. But this is pretty close, man.
Yeah. Do you think that? I mean, do you think it's down to the fact that there's less in the form of tech support required because it's a sort of closed system? You just kind of offload it, and then you're more hands off in terms of iOS. I mean, I'm guessing here. I don't know whether that's actually the case, but it may be the case that there's less resources after the sale than perhaps with traditional software.
I don't know. I don't think so. Not when you look at a lot of the comments on a lot of the apps on the site.
But there is no cracks. I mean, that's the difference. I mean, you see that I know that the guys from Fruity Loops, they sold about 30,000 mobile apps, and Steinberg is also doing, I think, 30 or 40,000 already. So that's already
a lot at $40.
Yeah. So maybe it's quantity because you just buy it because it's 17 euro. Whereas even if it's only 70 or 170 euro, 9 out of 10 probably don't buy it, and use it. So maybe that's
it's distinctly possible. I do exactly the same with a load of apps that I buy. I kind of use once and then think, oh, that was cool, and then forget about it. I mean, this seemed to fall into another category, which wasn't that, but. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, certainly from a GUI perspective, it's always appealed to me, the whole iPad thing. But I do worry about getting locked into the whole Apple ecosystem with one product.
Yeah.
I mean, it's slightly different with us at the minute, because you've got Audio Units, VST, RTAS, blah, 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 which is enough of a drain getting locked into
to throw it, yeah. Because
and also Apple will deprecate and they will change things, as we all know from the AU spec. So, I don't know, we'd have to be pretty sure. But I mean, I was impressed. I mean, I missed a lot of that because obviously my reception was dropping again, which is really annoying. But yeah, a lot of the presets great, a little bit bathed in reverb.
Very much. Yeah, that's a major criticism. Almost all of the sounds have lots of reverb, but it's always, as I said, a global on-off switch would have been great, but it's got a very nice sort of reverb tail, so it adds to some of the sounds. But it's sometimes it's like showroom
like the
presets.
Fact that's all there is really to whinge about.
That's a pretty good thing to. Yeah, that's it. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. That's why I got 5 out of 5 points in my review, because I said I can't really complain. I mean, this thing is 17 euros and 500 sounds, and maybe the 4-track is a little bit buggy, but forget about that. I mean, you just got to be happy. It's a good one.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear that. At this point, we should probably say thank you to our sponsors, because we've now got, not only have we got their ad, which I will run now, but we've also got some information about their competition. So if I just flip to the ad, and hopefully it'll switch on now. Here we go. Good old Isotope. Thank you very much for them sponsoring the show. Of course, Isotope Trash, which is not what's playing there, is something that I should be playing. Isotope Trash, obviously, Trash is for many the kind of the most the full-featured sort of mangling, distortion, messing up kind of plugin, and Trash 2 is just out. It's primed for a new powerful era of audio mangling distortion experimentation. The dual stage multiband distortion, versatile distortion capabilities. There's also vowel formant capable dual filters, delay and dynamics modules, convolution engine, which is all the rage at the moment. In fact, the bit more on a product hopefully that we'll talk about that later. And you can download a 10-day demo of Isotope Trash today by going to isotope.com/trash, and you get a fully functional 10-day demo. Also, they've just announced there's 2 expansion packs, which are kind of more classic textures and more extreme edge as well. But it's on sale for $149 at the moment. The regular price is $249 through June the 26th. Trash 1 customers can log into their account and get special upgrade pricing. They've also announced a new set of presets which kind of are the more subtle side, which give a sort of more warming and more sort of fulsome feel to them. So just do try it out, check out the demo, and also isotope.com/test /trash for your 10-day trial. So I'm a bit flustered there because the wrong video played. But that's just the way it goes sometimes in live broadcasts. If anyone's been watching the what happened with Russell Brand and MSNBC, you'll understand all sorts of things can happen. Fortunately, I haven't got anybody who's likely to give me a hard time like him on the show. At least I hope not. And also, last week we had a winner. The winner of the competition, we asked What's the worst thing you've thrown away, trashed, hence the trash. And I've got Lone Raver 2, who just 12 hours ago, he was once working on a video project. I think in there I can bring it up here. He was once working on a video project where he bounced down the audio and threw out all the dialogue by mistake before it was ready. He freaked out because he thought he'd lost everything. And then he remembered his physics class and he managed to add all the other stems. And with a little click of invert phase, he was able to back all his dialogue, get them all back by cancelling out all the other tracks with no loss in quality. And he's glad he paid attention in school. I'm glad you paid attention in school too. But I'm also glad you paid attention to the show because you've won yourself a copy of Trash 2. So I will contact you and the Isotope Fairy will bestow it upon your account. So I hope you enjoy that. Right. Next up, I think... Sorry.
Before you just go on, did anybody mention whist? Because I actually got a little bit dumped out of this.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to do too many things on my computer all at once. But I noticed that this Nave thing actually has whist compatibility. So
that's handy.
Sync it up to a whole load of other stuff that has whist compatibility. So in terms of it being a standalone kind of world where you can't interact with it, I think its ability to have MIDI coming in and out of it and to do whist is probably quite useful. But maybe you can edit that back into the discussion.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I mean, because whist is actually, this was one of the things that me and Gaz came up against in the last Sonic Touch, was the inability for applications to kind of synchronize and midify themselves. And when you're kind of recording from one into another, particularly using stuff like Audio Bus, that's an issue. There we go. Non-Eric has. There we go. Whist. Yeah, so Whist is enabled. It's a Korg technology, I believe, isn't it? And it's just a sort of... It's essentially, as far as I can tell, it's like MIDI transport control and clocking information. So you get the tempo, the information going, and you get a start control, a start signal. So that's how that works, I believe. But yeah, no, I appreciate it.
It's cool. It's cool because I've got K Oscillator on my iPhone and on my iPad, and I can sync the two up. And I can walk around the house with them, and I don't know why I'm so obsessed with being able to walk around the house with no wires, but
it's nice.
Cool. I can jam with someone else.
I like that here. In fact, Hans, you'll probably appreciate this. Sorry, non-Eric, to use your professional name. I'm thinking about creating a system because we both now use the same switching system, I believe, and the same switching software. And if you get MIDI Designer Pro on a bunch of iPod Touches, you can put them above each of the cameras that you use and have I'm recording now. This is the live camera. So have a tally system with no wires. So I'm thinking about doing that. That's my I'm looking on eBay for some dirt cheap iPod Touches. They have to be generation 3. That's an amazing idea. So it's no wires. Yeah, so I'll let you know how I get on with that, or maybe you could go first and you can tell me how you get on with that. But we have much to discuss technically, I'm sure. But this is probably not the platform for it. If it was video switching talk, then that might be the show that I would watch certainly.
Yeah, and or the show where how to produce a lot of content dirt cheap.
Yes, or certainly cheaper once you've invested the thousands and thousands of hours it takes to perfect your hone your skills. But let's not give it all away too much. So yes, the next thing I wanted to look at, we could do. Is anyone interested in this Zoom 6-track recorder, or should we go straight to Ocean Way?
Oh, I'm really interested in that.
Which?
The Zoom.
Zoom.
Wow.
All right, let's go. I'm pressing the button now. This is the new Zoom H6, which has
the all-new Zoom H6,
a 6-channel
recorder for videography, broadcast, and electronic news gathering.
Basically, I've got the H4n, which I use daily, and it's absolutely fantastic.
The H6 is the world's first...
It does look a little precarious on top of that DSLR. I'm sure that might stop. But anyway, this is a 6-track recorder. It's got 6 inputs, and the cool thing about it is the top module. The top module is what you change. So you've got 4 combo jacks, and then you can change the top to XY to, I think it's got if I fast forward through it, you'll be able to see, I think. It's a nice AMOLED display. Also works as a USB audio interface. All the other things, still got that crappy SD card cover. And it there we go. There's all that. So we've got interchangeable heads. You've got a mid-side capsule, a shotgun capsule, an XY, and another pair of line inputs, all with their own dedicated volume controls, which I imagine when you got all of that balancing on the top of your tiny camera, it might get a little bit unwieldy. But let's just go into that. So you were particularly thrilled by this, Mark. I mean, I saw it in the flesh.
I'm totally thrilled by it, yeah.
I saw it in the flesh. I mean, I use the H4n and I think it's absolutely brilliant. What is it about this that you're so excited about? Because I have to say, looking at all of those XLR connectors hanging off that, it looks ergonomically a bit of a mess. It's just going to be like an octopus with all the wires coming out, and that just seems ergonomically.
Maybe, but it's the only octopus with all the wires coming out available. Because I looked at, I wanted to buy a 4-track recorder because I tried to record 2 sets of binaural recording, and it's really important to me to get those things absolutely in sync with each other, those recordings, because trying to line it up afterwards is impossible. You just look once the phase cancellation and all that. So I thought I need a recorder where I can record 4 tracks at once, but there's lots of them out there, the recorders that record 4 tracks at once, but they nearly all default to using the 2 inbuilt microphones on the top of the unit, and then you can use 2 other inputs on the unit. The fact that this has got 4 inputs on it, and then you can take the thing off the top and plug another 2 XLRs in the top of it, mean that it can record 6 channels from the sources that I want to feed into it and keep them all in sync. So that's what excites me about it.
Well, I mean, the H4n does 4 channels, and you can record 4 channels from external sources. It's got a stereo mic input on the back, which we use because we use it regularly. I mean, for our show coverage, we use the 2 XLRs coming in from our remote stereo line in, and then the radio mic goes into the mini jack that's on the back of the unit, which is, again, a stereo mic input. So you can do it on the H4n. You can't do 6 channels.
Maybe I missed that particular. Maybe I thought that that you'd got 2 channels of mic and then 2 channels from XLR or mini jack. I didn't realize you could utilize the XLRs and the mini jack at the same time.
No, I don't think you can.
Well, no, I'm telling you can because I use it. That's how I use it.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean,
the one thing, it's stereo. It's twice stereo.
Yes.
You can't sort of set the gain independently of 4 channels or 6 channels. It usually is a stereo.
No, you can on the. I'm sorry to disagree with you there, but the latest firmware for the H4n allows you to de-link the.
Okay,
and
great.
you can set them. So it is feasible.
Since I researched it, it's changed because I researched it in the middle of last year. I think I needed something. I was going to buy a 4-track recorder, and I couldn't find one that basically covered all bases for what I wanted to do, and this would do it. This would definitely do it. My only concern, though, is when they click those different units on the top of it. I mean, the microphones are one thing because they're probably light, aren't they? But if that looks like a little kind of connector about the same size as what goes in the bottom of an iPhone, and then I stick 2 Neutrix XLRs in the top of it, and it's got all that weight and cable weight hanging off that little tiny.
Well, perhaps it looks
that's going to snap off, isn't it?
Well, it actually it does look like it's got. What happens is there's a kind of collar that it's kind of hard for me to describe. It's got a collar, so you've got this kind of. The connection is here. And then it clips like that, and the connection is across the top. So there is actually a sort of mechanical connection here.
It would have to be pretty strong, though. I mean, if it's made in China and I've got like my heavy-duty XLRs hanging off it, I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. I'd want to see the physical quality of it, I think.
Excuse me, my phone's going, and it sounds like it's an urgent one, so I'll just take that. So
carry on amongst yourself. So Zoom, I think Zoom are a cool company. I got to be honest. I've got quite a few of their things, and what I always like about Zoom is that, I mean, the stuff is cheap and cheerful. The buttons are usually pretty rubbish. They don't inspire a huge amount of confidence in the build quality.
No.
But they're actually, I mean, I got this one here. This is the Zoom H2n. And this one's quite fun because it's got such a lot of microphones built into it. You got, I could do mid-side and XY at the same time. And you can record 4 channels. You can record 2 separate feeds off them. But anyway, I mean, that's a cheap little unit.
And you're using it as a mic now, aren't you?
I am, yeah. But it also works as an audio it works as an audio interface not through the camera connection kit with an iPad, but through that. There's a weird like camera connection kit that I got off off eBay. It's got like it's like a USB hub.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I would like to say that the H4n is not built in a crappy way like that. It actually has a bit more going for it. You know, it's a bit more robustly made, and that's the thing that differentiates it from the other portable stuff in the Zoom range, I would say. I know, Hans, you ditched your H4n, didn't you, in favour of something else because it didn't work for you, right?
Well, mostly ergonomically. I found it very, very irritating to work with it, and we switched to the Tascam DR100 for when we go out with our video cameras and need another audio feed, maybe because somebody's playing a guitar amp or anything. So we always have the field recorder with us. And we had the 4N and we always had trouble, just operating the unit under stress. And that's where the Tascam works a lot better, but that's strictly to mono or stereo. So there's no 4-channel capability on the Tascam. But I think the Tascam, they have new products out that do multi-channel.
Yes, I heard. I mean, I think that the Panasonic do as well. Dave, you used to do a lot of location recording. I mean, presumably you use Nagras and stuff like that. I mean, would something like this have passed muster for you actually in the field, or would it all be wrong?
Actually, no, it was interesting. I was thinking about it because I had an SQN mixer, and that was either to an umbilical cord, either to the Digibeta camera, or in some cases, just the recorder, pre-Digibeta camera, super duper audio stuff. This would have been great. I want one of these. I've got an H1, we've got an H4n, but Chris seems to have that most of the time. We've even got an H4n with the little Rycote windjammer on the top, which is quite cool. But Chris seems to have that most of the time. And I thought that the fact that this would fit on a DSLR for me is just like...
Yeah, I'd say fit. I mean, it looks a bit like balancing a kind of mini on top of a, mic stand. It's not quite...
no worse than a big flash gun or something.
Well, maybe not. This seems quite cheap, actually. I was looking at... if I've got it over here, I think...
What's the damage?
It looks like, I mean, you can't get it till August. 369, 329 at Anderton's. I mean, it looks like it's quite. I just Google shopping, but none of them are in stock yet. And I think
no one's got any stock of anything. Do you know what? I've been trying to buy it since I've moved into this room. This is a slight rant. My mixer packed up, so I've been trying to find 3 rack mixers to, 2 new ones and one to replace the one. Every single store that I've called or I've been into does not have any stock. And do you know what happened today? I lost it, and in the end, I just bought everything from Tommen. That's despite going down to local Dawson's, ringing Anderton's, ringing GAC down in Brighton. No one's got any stock. Everyone now seems to order from the manufacturer. And is it any wonder retail is in the toilet at the minute? I couldn't believe it. I went into Dawson's. They've got a massive... I wanted to buy 2 giga delays and a auto-wah Boss pedal thingy. They've got a massive point of sales display. Like, you can sit on a giant Boss pedal.
But you can't buy one.
But you can't buy anything because no one's got it in stock. And no one knows when Roland are going to, A, have it in stock, and B, whether they've already got it in stock. So no one can give you a date. Anyway, that's my moan for today.
Good Lord, that sounds so. Hans, there's a +1 for the German retailer there. That must make you feel very happy. I know you have quite close ties with Thomann, being a sponsor of your property. And yeah, we bought a load of lights actually from them, and it's a very dry transaction, but it just works. I mean, you just got to wait a little while for it to ship, but then it comes and it's all sorted. And it's because I guess they've got a warehouse that enables them to do that.
They've got 2 or 3 huge warehouse, like the IKEA warehouses, and they do actually stock gear for manufacturers as well there. So that's probably why they're always
part of the distribution.
Yeah, they're almost part of the distribution, so that could be one of the reasons why they have the stock and others don't. Could be.
Interesting.
But in Germany, there's actually quite a trend now. There's a lot of new retail stores, a big one, huge ones. Last week, Just Music opened one here in Berlin at the Moritzplatz. So there's a kind of a counter trend as well. At least new big stores are opening up, at least here in Germany, and we'll see how that goes.
That's interesting. Yeah, bricks and mortar. Let's hear it. Gaz, did you want to come in there with something on the recorder subject, or were you spent?
Well, no, it's just that I think I'm just glad that Zoom continue being just a little. For me, Zoom are the vanguard of that Japanese thing that we used to admire so much. There's just not a lot of it goes on as much as it used to, for just that pushing that boat out or just coming up with something quirky.
A little bit different. Are you using the Zoom there for your as the audio interface? Is that what we're listening to?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what's gone wrong with my other at the beginning of the show, so I just quickly swapped
That's
over
good. It's
to
not
it.
got much handling noise actually, which is really impressive because I seem to remember that some of the earlier stuff did. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing, But good on Zoom. I like them.
Good on Zoom.
Yeah.
Right, well then, I think we've got time for one more, and that would be the Ocean Way Studios, because I've got that, and that's anyway, I'll play this.
Actually, got to get a look at it actually already.
Oh, you've had a look at it too. All right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well let's have a look. I'll just hit that, and then it'll.
Because
here it comes.
SE8 distribution was showing it at the Avid Creation Tour in Germany.
Ah, yeah. Well, this came just the other day, actually. Our satellite quad just died, unfortunately. We had to send it back, and it got replaced very quickly, but it just, for some reason, wouldn't work. So now I've got it back. I've been playing around with it, and I have to say, it's a really interesting idea, because it's slightly different to something like the Audio Ease product. It's got a bit more integration. It's more about the sound and the mics of a space. So this is Ocean Way, which looks like an absolutely fabulous place to record.
Legendary rooms, shaping
I think my
your sound
partner
in
at
real
Sonic
time.
actually got to make an album at Ocean Way
Jaw-dropping
many years ago.
Welcome to Ocean Way Studios, brought to you by Universal Audio and Alan Sides, exclusively for the UAD powered plugins platform.
This comes as close to pulling up a set of mics in the room as
Anyway, we won't. You can watch that video yourselves. But yeah, the idea is that it basically it takes convolution, but also adds this extra X factor. So you get 3 pairs of mics, close, near, and far. And then you can just, I think I've got a screenshot here, and then you can just mix between them, change the phase, change the mics, change the distance, change the miking pattern for different types of instruments and what have you. And I tried it on a set of drums, and I have to say it sounds really quite good. You've got 2 modes. You've got modeling mode, which is kind of emulating the recording part, or you can use it as a sort of reverb send. And it does sound really quite special. I don't know, what was your experience of it? Not Eric.
Well, I only had a look at it was only a demo to me, but from what I understood, because I think I explicitly asked him, there is no convolution. Are you sure there is?
It says convolution as well as dynamic room modeling is what it says in my
Okay.
in my list.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So it's 2 sets of things.
Okay. It looked pretty. I mean, because I had no chance to really listen to it, I wasn't that impressed, because I just thought, well, it's another impulse response from a room with a couple of variations. We've seen and heard that before. But if it works,
it does. I mean, I must say, I've only tried it on drums so far. I've been trying to find some guitar tracks and things to kind of throw other instruments into it. But it did sound, it just sort of adds this very familiar room sound around things, but you can change and modify that quite extremely, and that change it seems to sort of beef everything up. And that is, I guess, it's a classic sounding room. And I guess the idea about this, it's less perhaps about the specific product itself, which, although it's great, it runs on the UAD. You need a UAD2 Duo minimum, and it's 349. So it's as with all the Universal Audio products, plugins, they are expensive, but sometimes they just are the only thing that do that. And I guess this will be the only thing. But it was more a question of the idea. This is a 50-year-old room that has an absolute classic sound with a kind of $250,000 worth of mics, and the expertise of a person who knows how to use it in that room. And it's got to be a good thing that is sort of sampled and absorbed into what we can now attach, because that's not going to be around. He's not going to be around. The rooms presumably may not be around forever. I mean, it seems like a pretty damn good idea to get that sort of stuff. I mean, Gaz, I know you're a big fan of The Room, as it were. I mean, this seems like a kind of good idea, just in terms of...
Just a quick comment on The Room. I just was in the Emil Berliner studios. They are right underneath the Hansa, and they have one great, gorgeously sounding main recording room, but they also mic'd up 2 of their stairways. So you get this really boomy, you could have drum sound in there, so they have loudspeakers in there and microphones. And you can, connect all the rooms to all of their 3 recording rooms.
Yep, the main studios.
Okay, that was it.
No,
I just wanted to tell you how impressive that is to have a great room. I mean,
Well, I agree, and I think that's very important. I know, Gaz, you kind of go to places and do quite a lot of location recording. So, I mean, this sort of thing would it be of interest, or would you rather go there and do it yourself?
Oh, well, obviously.
Of course, yeah. Well, of course you would.
But, yeah, in a way, though, it worries me a little bit, because I think it's going to act as a veneer that's going to coat lots of people's music, and it's just going to give a really samey sound to lots and lots of things, because I reckon a lot of people won't delve that deeply into the settings. So a lot of the generic, the first, defaults or whatever, I think a lot of people will use. So I think that, could just act as as a blandifier, just because of how familiar.
I suppose that. I mean, not everybody's got. I know, Rich Hilton swears by it. By Universal Audio stuff, and we would have it when we were discussing. There were certain plugins that we think are great, like the EMT 250 is just absolutely classic. Voice, lots of these things they are really good. I know. But
I'm saying that they're good, but I'm just wondering if it gets overused. Just the sense of that particular space, which we're probably already extremely familiar with, will just be, it'll just become overly familiar.
But maybe I was thinking, we need more of this. We need more processes that allow us to absorb this information and experience into something that we can use, if that's possible.
I agree.
I know, Dave. You use Universal Audio stuff, right?
Yeah, love it.
Have you tried this out? Tried the demo?
No, because I'm still on the old UAD card. I did watch. I'll tell you, Russ Hughes, the Pro Tools expert guy. He did a kind of pretty good walkthrough of it, which I was quite intrigued by. I mean, don't forget, there's a big time with Ocean Way and Universal Audio, because Bill Putnam, I think, designed the room, didn't he? Or certainly one of the main studio rooms. So I was really interested. I mean, everything Universal Audio do is always done to the nth degree. So I was really interested, but I'm kind of very, it's interesting. Blandifier, I can kind of see that in a way. I like that idea. It was interesting with Russ's demo in that there was obviously that you've got the 3 mics, near, mid and far, and he was using it on a piano. Everyone does drums, and I was kind of, give me vocals. That's what I really want to hear. Vocals immersed in that room, particularly with this kind of buzzword dynamic room modeling. Yeah, and I thought, this would be really interesting. But he did a piano, and it was weird, because every time he kind of bypassed it, I thought, that's the sound I like.
Oh dear.
What he was saying is that obviously in isolation, it's easy to kind of, like Gaz said, think of it as a kind of veneer, but when everything's kind of enclosed in that same space, and the fact that convolution is a kind of snapshot and that this purports to be more, I'd be very interested in checking it out. I was trying to think of other spaces that I'd like, but most of them are gone.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of
Meister Room. The Meister Room in Hansa Studio, the big hall where the Heroes was produced and everything. Yeah. That's actually also also connected to the Emil Berliner studios directly. So I think you can do recordings in 4 or 5 rooms to any of their 3 recording suites.
But it sounds like, I mean, there's an arch, maybe there's an idea, you basically, anytime the studio is not up, it's just mic'd up, and you can send in your stems or whatever and play them into the rooms, for an hourly rate. And, that way you could actually, if you queue it all up and did it sort of cleverly, you could have computers just pumping music into these spaces 24/7, so that you've got the option to kind of use it later as effects, or rather than impulses. It really lives within the space. So maybe that's a good thing for downtime. When the studio's down, it switches into playback mode and it just goes bang, 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 bang. Yeah. So tonight you hear kind of whatever it is pounding down the stairwells until 5 o'clock in the morning when the cleaner comes in and they have to switch it off.
I think that's a good business model for Rainer from Emil Berliner Studios. He could have his stairway or staircase way or whatever it's called in English, which is already mic'd up with and has a loudspeaker in it. There could be a live feed into there, right?
Yep.
I could sort of send to their room, get it back. That would be.
Yeah, because we've looked at these before, because I remember, wasn't there that massive water tower in somewhere in Germany where they did that, and you could submit audio, and I think you had to. I can't remember if you had to pay for it, but it just queued it up.
No, I remember I was in the podcast when we showed it. Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems like, I don't know whether or not it would generate enough money compared to the investment, but it wouldn't take all that much computer know how to sort that out. You just sort of send it off and send it back. And maybe you could try different speakers and, it would be, you could be an installation effectively. Obviously, you'd have to make sure it didn't go off in the middle of a session, because that
could be a good marketing idea for the studio if they would set up something like this, have it on a website via JavaScript or whatever for free, and people could just throw in their sounds into their room. That would give them a good sort of coverage, I think. And maybe there could be Rainer, if you listen to the show, maybe that's something you could do solemnly for marketing and promotional purposes.
It certainly could work, couldn't it? I think it might work. I know, Mark, are you kind of into? I mean, I know you're into binaurals and that side of things. I mean, you're into to doing your own convolutions and impulses, right?
I am definitely into doing convolutions and impulses. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got various different ways of doing that. I've got the Waves plugin. I've got obviously the thing that comes with Logic Audio, which I actually think is a really good convolution reverb. And I tend to use I tend to use the Waves sweep, and then I put it into the Logic one, and I tend to render it using the Logic Space Designer, because that works really quite well to use that sweep in combination with that. Then if you put it in the Waves one, it just edits off the first so many seconds of it if it's a really long convolution. No, I don't use the balloon method. I use the sweep. Somebody just asked me that in the chat room. That sounds very tangential. That I'm not answering a question anybody's asked me.
It sounds a little bit like, the balloon method. Yes, there's all sorts of methods. The balloon squeak or the balloon pop. Yes.
But in terms of there's something about being in a physical space with physical human beings which you cannot capture digitally. Yeah. And what worries me about all of these spaces is what we're doing as a culture is we're driving everything into these devices. And it's absolutely outstanding what we're able to do with computers and iPads and stuff. I got in my car earlier on to go and collect my kid from school, and I walked out my house with my iPad, and I've got one of those Filofax type leather covers for it. And I thought, God, like 25 years ago, I'd be walking out to my car with my Filofax, and it would have all of my phone numbers and all of my notes and all that stuff in it. And I'm thinking, now I'm walking out, and I just downloaded the Waldorf thing, and I'm thinking, I've got a synthesizer in my hand and a digital guitar emulator. And I was jamming with some people on Saturday, and I was trying to play this Guitarism plugin as a guitar, and in the end, I must admit, I gave up and I picked up an electric guitar because.
Well, why wouldn't you, really?
There's something about it being in the digital world which takes it away from that whole human. Music is a language, and it's about communication. And as human beings, we use music as a language to communicate emotion and maybe some spiritual aspect, but I think really that there's a hidden communication which you're just losing when you digitize everything. So what worries me is, while it might be totally convincing to that engineer who created it, he's saying now he's created it digitally, why wouldn't he always kind of use it in his computer in that world, because it's faster to move the mics around and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of musicians creating music in that space, if we lose these spaces, there will come a time when we go, oh no, why did we knock that down? Like all the famous London studios have all been turned into flats, or I mean, it's like there's something, we're losing something. We're just going up in this totally homogenized world, and like Gaz said, it's just going to end up with everything sounding the same, everything with the same veneer.
Well, I think that's true, but then I take your point. I mean, that's true with performance aspects, but I mean, you know, we've all been making electronic dance music for sort of decades, and that, I don't know about you, but that involves me sitting in front of a computer, not interacting with anybody generally. So, I mean...
I think...
but I mean, before I did that, I was in a punk band, and there's something much more visceral about that. I've been working with this woman called Robin Stewart, and she's like me, she's got Asperger's, and she comes here, and she's got some crazy songs, and we've been kind of playing around with recording these in the studio with digital instruments and stuff. And then the other day she was trying to play something, and she said, I can't play these chords, Mark, because she's got problems with her hands. So she said, can you play it and I'll sing? So I was bashing this thing out on the guitar, and she was singing away. And at the end of it, we were just in fits of laughter because it was such good fun. And that aspect of music making doesn't seem to happen quite so much unless you drop E. I think if you take X, maybe you're in the right frame of mind.
Maybe. Not that we condone that sort of thing. Sorry.
No, well, I'm not anymore.
But... No, you were just coming in there.
But I think it has nothing to do with the technology in itself, obviously. And I actually share your experience, Mark, because I was just out in Malaga for a couple of, just recording some tracks with people, with a singer and somebody taking care of the technology of the recording software, and I was just guiding the vocalist, and we were talking about what we wanted to achieve, and I realized that because now my head was free because I didn't have to play with Studio One or with Logic at the same time. I think what is one aspect is we can now do everything on our own, but we shouldn't always do that. So, because my focus was with the singer, would I have to at the same time operate my Cubase or Logic, I would lose lots of that, communication. And I think we just use the stuff, but make sure that maybe sometimes it's better to have an expert, maybe an expert who does the engineering, an expert who does the mixing, an expert who does whatever.
Yeah,
and we're just we think we can do it all, and we do it all, and I think we shouldn't.
Going back to the software, how sound bounces around in a physical space does affect how people interact with one another. So going back to this software, how sound bounces around in a digital space won't change the look or not the look, the feel of the sound for the musicians. So it won't change the way they push and pull around. And we've been talking about this a lot recently, like how they push the beat or how they lay back on the beat. The space is going to make a massive difference to how that communication takes place. And I think digitizing it doesn't give you everything of that space.
Yes, but also...
And it's there's another thing that's...
You lose the feel.
But by the same token, only a very small percentage of people can actually get to Ocean Way and do their thing. So, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, there's also that also had the experience with on the session was and how much latency actually disrupts your musical performance, because we were not doing direct monitoring because we thought 32 samples would be enough to be able to sing, with monitoring on the headphones. But it was at the end of the day, it was more than 10 milliseconds, and it was completely throwing off the singer. Something where you would say it's only 10 milliseconds, it's only 32 samples buffer, but it was making a huge difference. Switching to the hardware monitoring, everything went no problem, everything was on spot, and there was the feeling was there, everything. So especially this latency shit is driving me nuts in the computer, actually.
Gaz, you seem to have brought a bass to the party. Oh, is that a new guitar?
No, it's not. It's just when you were talking about the things you're talking about, it just made me long to play it. Just because it's acoustic bass. It's a Tacoma Thunder Chief. It's great.
Lovely.
It's lovely.
Have you ever lost anything in that sound hole? It's
I love it.
That's good old friend.
We're very close to a session now.
Yeah, right. What's the latency like over Skype, Hans?
It's only 200 milliseconds.
Yeah, it's all right. I can compensate. We're off. I can't play anything. I mean, quite literally. I haven't got anything to play, but then I can't. If I did have, I couldn't play it. Maybe it's a good time. Maybe we should have we should fade out now, because that just seems like such a beautiful thing that we've got going on here. So a bit of real-time action, that's what we want. So
A little
anyway,
bit of real-time action's what we want.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was great, Gaz and Hans and Non-Eric and Dave. Thank you also. So yeah, Gaz, thank you very much for joining us and for playing. Great to see you back. It's been a long time. I've missed you, and now I can see. Are you back for a while, or when do you go to Japan?
In about 4 weeks.
Oh,
3
right,
weeks,
okay.
4 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Lovely. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much. Anyway, songsurgeon.co.uk. Also, Mr. Dave Spears playing his the instrument that can't be mentioned. Thank you for chipping in there. And your internet did hold up mostly. It just went a bit, but your latency's gone up. So there's obviously something going on. Maybe someone put a kettle on.
Probably. Just put more, like Darren said, put more diesel in it. Anyway.
I want that.
Yeah, that sounds good. And
when do I get the beta?
And also, thank you very much. You heard his voice there to Mr. Non-Eric from musotalk.de. He'll have to speak, and then I can bring his window up.
Yes, I speak.
There he goes. There he is. Thank you very much. Thank you for. So we've been we've had a live switching battle.
Yeah, let me switch. Come on, let me switch.
Ah, no, you got a black screen. Ah, no, that's a. But we must get together and have a chat about technology, because there's all sorts of stuff going on.
Yes, we need an update.
Thank you very much for joining us. musotalk.de. Remember, you can see Non-Eric's full review of Waldorf Nave on his show on Monday, so enjoy that. And also, I want to say thank you very much to Mark Tinley, who has been there in his spiritual home, shall we say, because it seems like it's quite cool where he is. So thank you very much, Mark, for joining.
Am I still here?
You are still here. I'm glad you are. You haven't been spirited away.
I think, you know what? Skype has crashed. And I think what crashed it was Eric switching his video there. It's just completely jammed up on my machine.
Changing too many pixels at the same time.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Could be.
It could be that.
It's because it's because of what it is, I think.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you, Mark. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your sweltering day, the hottest day in England so far. And I want to say thank you, of course, again to Isotope, because they've been kind enough to sponsor the show. Remembering you can go to isotope.com/trash to download your copy. In fact, I think I forgot to set a competition this week, but I think we'll
playing out with the New York Dolls.
We'll hold that thought, and the competition can be next week instead. So stay tuned. That's what's called a sort of deferred teaser. Or a totally cocked up ad spot, which you choose. Anyway, thanks very much. And don't forget, actually, tomorrow we've got a live blog. We've got this new feature, which is a day in the life. And tomorrow is a day in the life of Jordan Rudess. So stay tuned, and you can see what he's up to. He's going to be posting his updates, and there should be a bit of fun there. So thank you very much for watching. Once again, that was Sonic Talk number 318. Cheers, everybody.